Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Clever Clarinetist. I'm your host, Dr. Larkin Sanders. Today I'm doing a review of the Selmer Signature B-flat clarinet. I've gotten this request a lot, and some of you might not know that my first professional clarinet was in fact a signature given to me by my grandfather. These were what got me down the path of being a Selmer Paris lover. I have two B-flats in my inventory right now, and I will be testing them against my current instrument, which is a Présence first generation from 2014. So I expect there to be some intonation differences, some mechanical differences, and just some general feeling differences. I think I've gotten far enough away from this that it'll feel pretty foreign, if I'm being perfectly honest. There are a lot of interesting features about the signature that make it unique amongst the Selmer Paris line, and I'll go over those a little bit after I finish playing them. So let's get to it. Let's do a trial. Signature I find is much less resistant than my instrument right now, which is very strange to me. I mean, and I shouldn't be totally surprised. The Signature has a slightly smaller bore, which would result in lower resistance. I know it feels counterintuitive. You would think that something with more space to blow into would yield less resistance than something that has a narrow space to blow into, but clarinet physics don't operate that way. And I know a lot of people associate the oboe reed with this concept that it's so tiny, right, that it's so resistant, and that's why it doesn't work that way with clarinet stuff. It's the same with like clarinet mouthpieces. The farther the distance between the tip of the reed and tip of the mouthpiece, the more resistant it becomes. The more open the mouthpiece, the more resistant the mouthpiece. The more open the bore of an instrument, the more resistant the bore becomes, and that's because it requires more air to power such a thing, whether it's the mouthpiece tip opening or the instrument. So if you are looking for a lower resistant instrument, this is a really great option. Something else that feels funny, but it's not a bad thing. I forgot that this instrument has raised tone holes. I'm hoping, yeah, that you can see this third finger C, for example, that's probably the most obvious of the raised tone holes, because traditionally that tone hole is not raised at all. It has no key, it has no mechanism, but it really illustrates on this instrument how stacked these tone holes are. So it actually does give it the feeling that like the body of the instrument is bigger than other clarinets. It's bizarre how the mind works and how you'll trick yourself when you're holding something totally new. Having said that, I really thought this instrument was more consistent than I was expecting. I was expecting, because of all these like kind of funky design alterations that come with the Signature, that I would feel like there was less consistency across registers, across resistance, across articulation. But I mean, the only thing I noticed is that overall this instrument is less resistant than mine. The throat tone intonation is a little bit different, but I think that's because of the age of my clarinet. I think my clarinet is getting a little bit sharp in the throat tones, and this one is new and it is not. So it sounds flat to me, but it's probably closer to being in tune. So this is the second Signature that I tried, and it is less resistant than my clarinet, just like its Signature brethren that I previously tried. But this one is a wilder instrument. I felt like this was more the inconsistency that I was expecting on the first one. Not all notes felt the same. Some notes were much brighter or darker or muted than others. I felt like I did not necessarily be a bad thing. It just shows that like this instrument is capable of many colors and a lot of different interesting sounds, and would provide the player with a lot of flexibility. I mean, a lot of people play this instrument. I know I said it earlier is like kind of an obscure Selmer Paris instrument, and I think it is. I think most people gravitate towards Privilege and now Muse and Présence. So Signature is less frequently seen, but it definitely still like has a big following of people who really like these. I like to know my grandfather was one of them, and then I was one of them, until I found something that was better suited for me. But yeah, overall, I like this instrument. It has a really sweet sound. I can see how like having these raised tone holes might help someone with like some mobility issues if you have a harder time covering the tone holes or even like finding them, like especially this C hole. It would be very easy to like correctly place your finger. I'm not saying this isn't a professional clarinet, because it totally is. Or if you, I don't know, if you have asthma or something, that might help. The mechanisms on this are really smooth. They feel really good. The height is weird to me. Again, that's due to the raised tone holes. It has nothing to do with the actual key work itself. Anyway, even if you do have like a big power filling capacity and resistance is not a problem for you, and you're interested in Signature, you're interested in what it has to offer, you definitely have to give it a try. Don't like just take my word for it. Give it a toot yourself and see how you like it. The B-flat Signature comes in this great little hard case. Excuse me, very slender, very durable. And it has two latches on the front to open the case very easily. And it has definitely has an interesting little gasket around the end. So I don't know that it's waterproof, but it's at least like going to be water resistant. I have one of these that I carry on days when I'm just going to like a public school to do a clarinet sectional, or I just need a B-flat clarinet. I love these little cases. The Signature comes with two barrels, one in 64.5 millimeters, which is what I just played on, and then a short one for 62.5 millimeters. I know that you might be thinking, oh, that's way too short. That's not what a clarinet should come with. Clarinet barrels that come from the manufacturer are actually, they are designed to help the instrument play in tune, and the instruments are designed for these length barrels. Don't get one of these instruments and just assume that the barrels have been mismatched with the instrument. There's a joke that a lot of band directors will say, or whatever, anyone who has a proclivity for dad jokes will say, and that's instruments are tuned at the factory. And it's not entirely untrue. They are all tested before they leave, but they're tested by people whose lives aren't necessarily depending on making these instruments sing. They're just built to make the instruments operate. So it's someone without tension, with just like a steady airflow, and that doesn't necessarily happen in everybody when they're trying instruments. Definitely when they're not not when they're nervous or not when they're under pressure, right? A lot of that stuff goes out the window for a lot of people. So my point is, as I digress, that these barrels, even though they are shorter than what most would consider the normal 66 or 65 millimeters, they are designed to help the instrument play better in tune. And you may decide later that you need an aftermarket barrel, and that's fine. Right now I'm a big fan of Behn's adjustable barrels, which I'm going to do a video on soon as well. You can see mine is Clever Clarinet is teal. I love it. It's anywhere from at its shortest 63 millimeters to 68 millimeters. It'll take me forever to get there, but these are really cool. I think because they're synthetic and adjustable, they make great aftermarket barrels because they last forever, and they'll help you with everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about the Selmer Paris Signature instrument. You can buy it on my website at cleverclarinets.com, or if you're not entirely sold yet, you want to give it a try, we can definitely set up a trial by mail or an in-person trial here in my room in Kansas City, Missouri. You can also get cool things like this shirt that I designed on my website as well. There's all kinds of fun stuff at cleverclarinetist.com, and I encourage you to check it out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.